This presentation was made possible thanks in part to the patrons of Charlottesville-Inside Out, committed to exploring the people, places, and quality of life that uniquely define Charlottesville and its surroundings.
For WHTJ, I'm Terry Allard, and this is Charlottesville Inside Out. I know that you are so excited because this is the first time we've ever been in this space together as a whole school. Today we're celebrating our achievements as students and as faculty, but we're also celebrating that we have one of the most beautiful buildings in Albemarle County, and this school that's going to be with us years and years from now. We're here at Brownsville Elementary School where they're celebrating their new 33,000 square foot green renovation and addition. Designed by VMDO Architects, the project is anticipated to be the first LEED certified school in Albemarle County. Let's go catch up with Bob Mosier, president of VMDO, to find out what makes this addition worthy of a celebration. Come on. So can you give us a brief overview of the whole new addition here at Brownsville Elementary School?
Kind of a special project. As most people know, the western part of the county is growing quite a bit in population, and they're trying to find places for the expanded number of students, and Brownsville, because of its site, because of the original building, had the possibility to be added on to. So the new classrooms in the new wing primarily are for the younger children, and then sort of the other part of the school out for each grade level to have their own corridor. And then we tried to theme the school again into and make it an educational theme so that there's the coastal area, the Piedmont, and the mountains. Then each of the rooms are named and themed after something in that region of Virginia.
So they're just coming back from the assembly.
And you can see how the walls are green. Later on in the tour, when we get to Station 1, we can show you why. Because the school is split up into 3 sections, and this is the Piedmont, and that is colored green.
Over here, we have the third graders been working on probability.
Brownsville is anticipated to be the first LEED certified school in the county, right?
Yes.
And garnering hopefully a silver, if not a gold, rating. Explain what all that means.
LEED, L-E-E-D, stands for Leadership in Environmental and Energy Design. It's a point system that the U.S. Green Building Council has developed to try and encourage any kind of building or even renovation or even existing buildings now to be more carefully designed with the environment in mind. And the thing that gets a lot of play is the amount of energy that it uses, but it goes beyond that in trying to use materials that are more locally produced so that we're not spending an enormous amount of fuel to get them to the site. Right. It has to do with the materials and how easily they are cleaned and how they hold up so that you're not bringing toxic chemicals into the building on a regular basis to clean it. So it's the quality of light in the building, trying not to use as much electricity to get that light. We tried to light the building as much as possible with natural light, and I'd say there's 3 main strategies that we've used. The building is oriented east-west so that the new classrooms either face north or south, and the reason for that, on the south is the sunny side of the building and you get the major amount of light, but you also get a tremendous amount of heat gain, which you don't want. Then you have to offset that with air conditioning. So on the south side we have an overhang. This canopy that we're sitting under shades the building so you don't get the direct sunlight, but you do get the direct natural light. The man-made lighting, the typical lights that you see in the school, are all set on sensors so that you can dial up how much light that you want, and then if the sun goes behind the cloud and you're trying to do an activity, those lights will slightly brighten and you'll lose a little bit more energy at that point. But then when the sun comes back out and you get more natural light, those lights will naturally dim and your energy bill will go down. So that's a good segue into the fact that this building on paper will use 35% less energy than another typical building of its kind in the county, and that is very important for savings down the road.
And water. Talk about, well, just the new bathroom systems and the underground rain tank.
We have tried to, that's another aspect of LEED is water usage, and that is going to become more and more important over time. All of the studies show that how precious good clean water is, and trying to use as little as possible of it and take advantage of the water that does fall. So we have collected the water in this building off of the roofs, and it goes to a storage system that's then used to flush toilets and water the gardens and irrigate the fields.
So let's take a look at that bathroom. There has like 2 functioning toilets. It's kind of weird, but it's really eco-efficient.
And when you open up the door, it automatically turns on the light, which is kind of...
And when you close it, it automatically turns off. And that toilet has 2 functions. If you push it up, it does it a lot less water. And if you push it down, it does a lot more water.
Tell me about the main priorities and the goals when your company was designing the new addition and tying it into the old.
Green or LEED was one of the things that the county wanted to accomplish with the building, but the first goal was clearly learning. What a school is all about is maximizing the potential of the opportunities for each student to learn as much as possible. And students, particularly at the K through 5 level, are naturally curious and want to investigate different things. However, what we've slowly concluded is they want to learn those things when they're ready to learn those things. So the notion that you're going to herd 20 children into a box and learn this particular activity at this point of time is really fighting basic human nature. So what we've tried to do in this building is create as many flexible learning environments in and around the school as we possibly can. There's areas in the classroom that can be separated off from the main classroom. The classrooms themselves can be open one to another so that the teachers can team teach. There's areas outside in the corridors that students can go to. All students have a great variety of aptitudes, and some of them pick up reading very quickly. Some of them pick up math very quickly.
Right,
Some of them don't.
Right.
And what most of the time they need is more time. It's not that they're dumb or they can't do it. It's just that their brains have not developed for they're ready for that concept.
Right.
And because we artificially separate them into classes and numbers and by year, there's a great difference in what one 4-year-old and 5-year-old and 6-year-old are ready to do versus another.
So here is a closer look at the playground. They've got a bunch of slides. They've got those stepping things. If you jump on them, they push down and up. It's like a hop. And those kids are playing on the spinner wheel. They swerve around and they spin. And that blue log thing, it's like log rolling. You run on it and you try to stay on. They've got a whole bunch of new technologies here.
Now, in talking about the design of the school again and keeping a lot of these things in mind and also building a green school, is it more expensive?
There are aspects of green that can be more expensive, and there are probably a few things that cost a little bit more initially. A lot of times the projects in LEED that get the higher ratings are one that sort of overtly go after that. They'll have special mechanical systems, geothermal systems. In the existing building we were trying to do those things. So
all very expensive.
they can be very expensive. We did this all with picking up points in very logical places that had very quick paybacks and made a lot of sense. If you will, to use a baseball analogy, we did it with all bunts and walks and singles as opposed to home runs, and still got, I think, what's going to be a gold rating on it.
Yeah.
We talked about natural daylighting before. One of the other things that's pretty neat is we use something called solar tubes in this building, which is a prism that goes through the roof, collects the sunlight, and then turns it and sends it back into the interior space. So places that are not on the exterior walls that cannot catch that light are getting it through the ceiling, and when you walk through, it's going to look just like a light. But it's actually a prism that's capturing light and turning it and sending it down into the building, and it's free.
So that's
That
fascinating.
doesn't cost $1 for, and 40% of the cost of operating a school once you get it built is in lighting.
And so a lot of what you have to put into in the beginning might cost some money, but the payback and the results, the savings down the road are tremendous.
Correct.
Especially with, in
Yeah.
this case, with Brownsville.
Yes. The cost to a community of a school building, if you look at it over the 50 years or so that is likely to be in existence, the initial cost of building it, when you add up the cost to maintain it and operate it over all that period of time, is usually down in the like 13, 14, 15% range. And most people build a relatively inexpensive building and don't realize how much that's costing them over time.
Right,
A whole lot more than if they could do a few simple things in the beginning.
right. Oh, this is great information. Thank you so much. I'm going to see
Really?
if I can find Jo Vining, the principal, and see what she thinks of your project. I think it's going to be good.
I hope so.
So this here is brand new, and as you can see, that coastal sign, that's why all these walls are yellow.
This is a new region of
Yes.
the map.
Yeah.
This is the kindergarten and first grade hall down that way. So let's take a look at the new gym.
I really wanted to see this happen, and it was so much work.
Well, are you pleased? Was
I'm
it worth it?
It was worth it. I don't have any regrets.
Who made the decision to go green and why?
That decision to go green really was a joint decision. We had a committee of teachers, our architects, VMDO, and our superintendent, Dr. Moran, worked together to try to utilize cost efficiencies, ways to save energy. I took some teachers to other schools that were green schools, and we liked what we saw. And looking at could we afford it in our projected budget, it was feasible. So we had the opportunity and didn't want to let that go.
Oh, yeah. So what has the feedback been from your teachers and the students and families?
The children love the large new space. The families are proud
Yeah.
that we have what I think is the most beautiful school. What the teachers are really happy in these K-1 rooms is they have little gardens. Each kindergarten and first grade room has its own little garden. And so for the spring, they were able to plant seeds, which went along with their unit on plants and growth and a science unit. So it isn't that traditional school of you go in this little box and that's your classroom and that's all you have.
Right.
There's a lot
right.
more learning spaces. So we're starting to see results.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
Well, as an educator and as the principal of the school, what would you say are your favorite features?
Aesthetically, it's beautiful. When you're in the Tidewater in this area, you're in these yellow marshy colors, and then you move into the greens of the Piedmont, and then you end up with the mountains and you get into the soft blues. And that sounds arty, but it really isn't, because you make those transitions from one region of Virginia to another. So it's,
Right.
I've liked the aesthetics of the building.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There are dogs in our community who live their entire lives outdoors, either penned or on a chain, with very little shelter when the temperature drops or lightning strikes or heat becomes too intense. Today we're going to talk to Stacy Norris, the founder of Houses of Wood and Straw, to find out what her organization is doing to provide adequate housing for area dogs in need. Come on. Okay, so tell us, what is Houses of Wood and Straw?
Well, we abbreviate and call ourselves the House Project, and we are a community service project in Charlottesville and the surrounding counties. And we basically build and distribute wooden dog houses along with lots of bales of straw for bedding, as well as other essentials, leashes to promote walking your dog, nylon collars if the dogs we encounter need better collars, food and water bowls if that's necessary as well. We always bring treats for the dogs too, but we're looking for dogs. We target dogs that are outside dogs, that the guardians, for whatever reason, for whatever period of time, leave their dogs outside, and their current shelter, outside shelter, is not what it really needs to be.
So you founded this organization, right?
Yeah.
How did this get started? How and why?
I've always had a respect for animals, a respect for everything, really. And Wandering through my neighborhood one day, I came upon some dogs that had barrels, plastic barrels as shelter, and it just seemed very weird to me, unnatural, and they were otherwise tied to trees, and that was basically how they lived. And I had given to PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, who has a wonderful project called Angels for Animals. Their organization builds dog houses, wooden dog houses, and distributes them to dogs that need them in their area out in Norfolk, Virginia, and the Carolinas there. So I decided that perhaps instead of donating to them that year, that I would touch base with them and see if maybe they could give me their doghouse plans and give me a little coaching as to how to go about doing this for these dogs that I encountered. So went ahead and did that, and they were very helpful, and those are actually the doghouse plans that we have used all through the house project.
Tell me about these plans. It sounds like there's a specific design for these houses. Okay, tell me about that and why. Why are they designed this way?
Well, first of all, they're wooden. We make them out of 3/4 inch treated plywood and exterior fasteners so that nothing's going to rust out or rot out. From the top down, they have a roof that's slanted to the point where if the dog wants to sit on top of the house, some dogs like to do that, that they can actually get on top of it.
They can still do that.
So it's nice and wide, and the roof itself has some overhang to it so that the body is protected. If it's raining, the rain is coming down over it, it won't go down into the house itself.
And then they're built off the ground, right?
They are. They're raised. And they're raised for the purpose of, one, so that the house itself doesn't absorb the cold from the ground in the cold season or the hot from the ground in the hot season, but it also prevents it from rotting out.
So describe some of the conditions that dogs have been living in prior to receiving one of the housed dog houses.
Yes. Well, we encounter all sorts of different dogs. All of them are outside for some period of time during the day. Many of them are outside 24/7. Again, the law allows that. We would love to see that changed. Many of the counties and cities in Virginia uphold the state ordinance that allows for 24/7 chaining or penning of your dog.
But there may be a change.
Yes, Albemarle County is currently working on possible ordinance, not only to limit the amount of time a dog can be outside tethered, but to also improve the shelter, their outdoor shelter. So that would be great for us.
So barrels, dogs were living in barrels. Even you said once metal barrels, you told me?
Metal barrels, metal cages. A dog shelter by law in Virginia needs to have a top, a bottom, and 3 sides, and then it's interpreted thereafter by the animal control officers who are called out to check on the dogs if that's the case. So a lot of dogs, they meet the legal requirements. The guardians have met the legal requirements for the dogs, but they're not really in a very good space.
I can't imagine being in a metal barrel in a lightning storm.
Yeah, in a lightning storm, that would be a horrible thing and scary.
Yeah.
And not very warm, very hot in the summertime, not very warm in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Wood is our choice for the houses. It traps heat in the wintertime, and it breathes in the summertime.
Yeah.
A lot of folks will do plastic houses for their animals, and some plastic houses are the igloo, for example, is a good house in the winter. It's insulated,
right.
and it has a sort of a tunnel front so that the dog can go in and be protected from any rain or snow coming in after them. But in the summertime, it's a really hot place.
Well, now do you build these houses?
I don't build these houses. I know everyone thinks I'm carrying around my hammer and my nails,
Well,
and
that's
it's
what I
not me.
thought.
It's not me.
That's a busy girl. She's building a lot of houses.
No, but I've contracted great volunteers. We have a couple Boy Scout troops, as well as a few schools, the school carpentry classes or technology classes they call them. Yes, so
that's great.
We raise the money to buy the materials, out fundraising and begging, as I like to say. We go out and beg for the money to buy all the materials. We deliver those to the schools and the Boy Scouts, and then they build for us. This all happens usually in the fall,
right.
And then they have them ready before the cold season hits, and we go pick up the final product, and a bunch of volunteers and I go out and deliver them to the dogs that need them.
That's fantastic. fantastic. So how do you know which dogs need them? How do you find out about these dogs?
Several different ways. If I personally see, I'm forever driving slowly and looking in people's backyards just to see what I can find, and knocking on doors and introducing myself and the project if it seems fitting. Animal control has been really helpful. We've been around, this is our 3rd official year as the House Project, and animal control has embraced us.
Yay.
I think that for many of them, they see things out in the field that they can't do anything more about because the situation meets the legal requirements.
Right.
They see what we're doing and they love the fact that we're taking it a step further, sort of, I call us a Band-Aid project. We fill in, we're a Band-Aid for what I wish the law would require. So we try to provide for that. So animal control does a great job of contacting us when they see dogs that need our help. And just regular people who are visiting family and see the neighbor's dog, or people who themselves say, wow, I really wish I could do better for my dog, and I can't afford that. So, oh wow, now there's this lady with this project and she might be able to help me.
That lady.
Yeah,
I
I do get a fair amount of people who call me who they themselves need our help. So
well, that's great.
yeah, it's really great. It's really great.
So how is all of this funded? Because it costs money to build houses.
It does cost money to build houses. We've got a lot of wonderful hardware stores and home improvement stores in our area that donate merchandise to us.
That's great.
And if not, then donating discounts. The lumber is quite an expense for us, and we usually get nice discounts on all of that. So people basically just sending us donations so that we can make the purchases we need.
Yeah, and then you rely quite a bit on volunteers.
Yes.
Tell me all the different things that volunteers do for House.
Well, certainly we've got the labor force is a huge volunteer group. Yes, if we had to pay people to build these houses for us, we wouldn't be able to do nearly what we do each year. But the kids who rotate every year, we get so many people involved because every year the teachers have new students, get new scouts coming in, so they're a huge group of people who volunteer for us. Lots of volunteers who take brochures. We've got lots of people who allow us to either put our brochures in their businesses, or who distribute brochures for us, just kind of hold on to them and advertise the House Project for us, which is really a big thing for us.
Yeah.
And I really consider people who call in and help me find dogs, those are definitely volunteers too. They don't think that they're really doing a whole lot, but our project doesn't do much if it's not reaching the dogs that need it. So
it's a great community project. You have so many different people involved doing a
yes.
really good thing.
And then those that deliver. I mean, we've,
right.
and then once it's all done and we have to get it out to the dogs who need it, that's an all-day Saturday delivery schedule. So, and we deliver Louisa, Green, Fluvanna. We haven't done a whole lot over on the western side of the mountain, but we're certainly not opposed to it. The Augusta County area. We do a lot, obviously, in Albemarle and Charlottesville.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just sort of wherever we need to be if we can get there. So.
Well, what are your short-term goals for House?
Well, we are, at this point, we're a community service project. We're not a nonprofit, and that would be my biggest short-term goal, to get us into nonprofit status.
Yeah.
And also to get more to make more people aware of us.
Right.
It's been evolving into that. More people know us every day. It's so neat. But more people who know us, and more people we can then reach out to. I think we've really bettered a lot of dogs' lives because we've gotten to people who just didn't understand what their dogs needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what are your long-term goals for House?
Long-term goals. Well, I would really like to see it get bigger, and not necessarily under my roof, so to speak. It would be great if I could get other communities statewide to do this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think it would be really neat, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be called the House Project, and I wouldn't have to have anything really to do with it,
Your husband would like that.
My husband,
if you had
yes. If it just wasn't so, yeah. Please don't get too big. Yes, please don't get too big. So PETA has got the Norfolk area of Virginia covered, and we're doing this little space here in Central Virginia. So if we could get maybe 6, 7, 10 more communities doing it for their communities, that would be fabulous. And of course, changing the law is just always, I wear it on my sleeve, if we could just get the laws changed, because nothing's going to happen big scale. Nothing's going to happen unless people are held accountable to make it happen. So if we could get the law changed, that would really be a wonderful thing.
That's great.
Yes.
But this is fantastic work, Stacy. It's been a
Thank
real
you.
treat talking to you.
Thank you.
Voila!
That's it for this week. For WHTJ, I'm Terry Allard. Join us next time on Charlottesville Inside Out.
This presentation was made possible thanks in part to the patrons of Charlottesville Inside Out, committed to exploring the people, places, and quality of life that uniquely define Charlottesville and its surroundings.